Hello and welcome again to the Edgy Politics podcast. Geographical Queen here with today's episode on the master servant Western bullying diplomacies of the unipolar world. Most people, especially those in the collective West, have been wondering why most countries in the global South are not on their side. They can't understand why most African countries are not criticizing Russia for the ongoing SMO in Ukraine. Due to their selfish and arrogant interests, they can't even take a minute to think further than their noses. Only their opinions count, and African countries have no right to think for themselves. In light of the upcoming second Russia-Africa Summit and Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum, which will be taking place on 27 to 28 July 2023 in St. Petersburg in Russia, the President of the Russian Federation, His Excellency Vladimir Putin, published an article in some of the major African media outlets. The article was about Russia and Africa joining efforts for peace, progress, and a successful future. The key in this article stated, and I quote, "We have always strictly adhered to the African solutions to African problems, principles, standing in solidarity with Africans in their struggle for self-determination, justice, and their legitimate rights." Russia has constantly and consistently supported Africans in their struggle for liberation from colonial oppression. This has always been the then USSR and today's Russian approach to African relationship: respect for the sovereignty and the dignity of the African people, peace, friendship, and solidarity. Unlike the impenitent, arrogant, and ruthless West, Russia has always stood by Africa in the face of Western atrocities against Africa, as well as in the days of their woes. Russia has never had a dream and an aim of enslaving Africans or using raw materials to her interest. Mother Russia doesn't impose their way of life on Africans like the US and her allies do. The US, which speaks in their usual canon words about their African friendship, have American companies owning about 87% to 97% of African natural resources. Talk about this, and the African question faces a regime change, as Africans are supposed to do as they are told by their master, US. You would think that the horrors of slavery, colonization, and apartheid were painful enough for humanity, but not for the collective West. we still have the collective West in the year 2023 still trying to impose the alphabet community on Africa, whether Africans like it or not. The culture and tradition of the African people are ignored. Why some few people's sexual lives should be a priority for sovereign nations' governance and development policies is more alarming than surprising. Declassified records from the US and the UK revealed that in 1965, the collective West gave more aid to fascist regimes in Portugal, Spain, and Italy than they gave to their former colonies in Africa. At the same time, the Soviet Union was giving tens of thousands of African doctors, technical specialists, engineers, officers, and teachers scholarships for higher education free of charge, and has continued to do that till today. By the mid-1980s, with the participation of the then USSR specialists, over 330 large infrastructure and industrial facilities were built in Africa. Infrastructures such as power plants, irrigation systems, industrial and agricultural enterprises, which are successfully operating to this day and continues to make a significant contribution to the continent's economic development. African countries, based on experience between the two superpowers, can always rely on Russia as a friend, as Russia has always fulfilled its promises. In ending his article, His Excellency President Putin assured his African partners, and I quote, "We are sure that a new multipolar world order, the contours of which are already seen, will be more just and democratic, and there is no doubt that Africa, along with Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America, will take its worthy place and finally free itself from the bitter legacy of colonialism and neocolonialism, rejecting its modern practices." Is the difference not clear? When has the collective West ever regarded Africa as a partner, if even only in words? So what do you think? Do you think Russia will continue to respect and fulfill its promises to its partners in Africa? And African countries will be better off in a multipolar world than the choking unipolar world we've had till today? Well, kindly leave your comments in the comment section below, and thanks for tuning in. I will be back with the next broadcast. Good day.